My fish fam, we are back with Vodelian Hexcatcher, the new Merfolk on the block from Dominaria United. The Flash Merfolk gives +1/+1 to everything, but we can sacrifice Merfolk to counter target non-creature spells unless the controller pays 1. So it turns everything into Curse Catcher, but we can hit more than instants or sorceries. We can hit the artifacts, the enchantments, and the planeswalkers. Now, a big addition, a huge upgrade, in my opinion, for this card is we can finally lessen our dependence on blue mana and start going back to things like Mutavault. Mutavault was a great card back in 2013, 2015 because we played with a lot of cards that didn't have blue in the mana cost, like Remand, Spreading Seas, Silvergill Adept, Dismember, Chalice of the Void filled our decks. But over time, we started getting Harbinger of the Tides and Merfolk Trickster and just more blue creatures. Well, now we can, thanks to Vodelian Hexcatcher, we can add more lords to the deck without having to add the blue. And we're going to be depending a little bit more. And when we have more Mutavaults, now that can make Svelune increase the chances of her being indestructible. Because if there's one other creature in play and Svelune and one Mutavault, we can just tap the Mutavault, activate it into a creature, and then Svelune is indestructible. This deck will be a little bit more on the slow, tempo-y side. We're going to utilize Brazen Borrower with Chalice of the Void. So if our opponent plays like Ragavan, Dragon Rage Channel, we play the Chalice on 1, we bounce it back with Brazen Borrower, and hopefully stabilize the game with Svelune, and then attack for victory. This deck hopes to somewhat control and tempo out the opponent at the same time. Sideboard, got some Flusterstorms for the Cascade decks. You know, Force of Negation, pretty stock card at this point. Spreading Seas, Relic of Progenitus. Spreading Seas mostly for not only Tron, the Cabal Coffer decks, but also any Urza Saga deck. And some Hurkyl's Recalls because they're fine versus Creativity if they have a bunch of artifacts out. And it's great versus Hammer Time and Affinity. Alright, with that, let's get into our league. Our wonderful, wonderful league. I think Borrower is my favorite ever blue creature. It's a wonderful creature. Okay, this is the correct deck. Let's go. This is finally, this is basically Hexcatcher in a more traditional Merfolk deck. Traditional-ish. Prison Folk. This isn't super Prison Folk, but whatever. I think this is easy to use Hexcatcher with. The Chalice might be really hit or miss. I've honestly played a ton of matches in Modern recently where Chalice was meaningless. I like Chalice, I really like it, but there's a whole bunch of matchups that just whoosh, whoosh, complete airball. Oh, my delicious coffee mocha. Or mocha coffee slush. Mono Blue Spirits in Pioneer really just is the Pioneer version of Merfolk. Mono Blue Spirits? Yeah. If in doubt, just tap 6 and Chalice for 3. Kappa. Thinking back in that Merfolk matchup, there were a few lines I didn't even consider. It's in the past. The Merfolk the Merfolk Mirror is super high variance. You could have an amazing hand and then you just lose randomly to another hand. You could have a really bad hand and just end up winning somehow. I'm just assuming Subtlety is untouchable, but 4 of is a card you should be dropping in for some draw or more early gameplay. Subtlety is easily a 4 of because it's the only way of easily winning the Primeval Titan matchups. Does Merfolk taste like fish? Probably. Oh, you were mentioning about how the mirror is favorable or not. How can a mirror match be favorable, though? Because depending on how you build for the mirror, if it's the exact 75, it won't be favorable. But usually there's differences between the two decks. Okay, we lost the die roll, but we have a okay hand. It's not terrible. I'd prefer not have 2 vials, but we'll see how this game plays out. Mishra's Bauble. This is our first Death Shadow matchup. I haven't played against Death Shadow with this deck yet. Another Mishra's Bauble. Smells more and more like Death Shadow as they keep sacrificing them. Is this Death Shadow? I have no idea now. Could be Hammer Time now. Which, if we're on the draw, then, well, that sucks. Are you planning on ever bringing back Yorion to Merfolk? So, great question about Yorion. Yorion only matters if Modern is about card advantage. If Modern comes to a point where every single card in your hand matters because it's just a war between who has more cards than the other, I will snap bring Yorion back to the deck and play it. But right now, Modern is more about tempo, which is Spell Pierce. Oh, it's a good thing we have the backup Ether Vial. I have no idea now what we're up against for 2 baubles. But given the fact that Modern is way more on the tempo side and not about card advantage, I really don't care for... oh, look at that. The monkey has returned. I really don't care for Yorion. It just makes the deck diluted and it's clunky, and you never get to a point where you put it into your hand and put it onto the battlefield. I guess this is just a Murktide deck. Alright, don't hit a 1-drop. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. How unfair. So they can sack their treasure and put a Tide Shaper in play, and it'll be a 1-1. Would you say mirror matches are generally won by the deck which comprises less on its original strategy? No, that absolutely not. You do want Lords. You can just easily win with a bunch of Lord of Atlantises, as strange as that sounds. I guess we're going to get hit by this Tide Shaper for a little while. I'm going to deploy this Ether Vial because tempo is going to matter in the Murktide matchup. And I'll probably dismember the Ragavan if they try to play it again. Oh, they're not going to play Ragavan. Well, not for 2 mana. Delicious. They don't want to do anything. They don't even play the Ragavan again. They better have a good reason for this. Oh, they have Archmage's Charm on our Ether Vial, I guess. Which in that case, I'll Hexcatcher it away. Another Dismember. And I will pass, I guess. Holding up counter magic is stupid because I have Ether Vial. I can only assume that they have Archmage's Charm. Target player draws 2 cards. In that case, I will counter this. I could counter it actually with the Mutavault if I wanted to. I am not going to, though. I'm going to keep the Mutavault, because I don't want to tap out. If they play Ragavan again, it's too important to kill it. Sure. Life total dwindling. Alright, I'll take 2. Not happy about taking 2, but... One, two, three. So it can be a 6/6. So I can burn 2 dismembers on that if I want. Ah, this is really awkward. Okay, dismember the Tide Shaper. And there's like no, or I can spend 8 mana, or sorry, spend 8 life and kill off a Murktide Regent. Let's untap and see what we get. I might have to spend like a ton of mana. Well, if I play Silvergill Adept, no, I can play Silvergill Adept through Vial. If I draw a land, I can play like a Lord plus Dismember twice. That's subtlety. Whatever I want to do, I should do it now. Because if I attack with Mutavault and they don't block, then I'm going to get hoofed in the face. Alternatively, I could also play Lord, Dismember Tide Shaper. Because I won't die. I think they have Counterspell in their hand, because they're playing like they have Counterspell. So I could play Lord, Dismember, Tide Shaper, pass. Do I have a victory after that? They could even play... Well, I don't know what they want to play. Okay, Lord, Dismember. And the next turn if I play Lord, that would be 4/8... 4/8/11. It's not lethal at all. Trying to figure out like what's the best way to win here. Pay 4, get hit for 6, then this Dismember is completely dead. Or pay 8, go down to 6. Block Tide Shape or block Ragavan. I'm gonna play the line that puts more stuff on the battlefield. And then if I draw a land, I can play Subtlety and maybe block Murktide Regent. 4 cards in their hand, possibly another Murktide. It can be anything. We know at least one card. It's a Ragavan. It can be anything, though. It could be Counter Magic. It could be Expressive Iteration. It could be Lightning Bolts. It literally can be anything. We have no idea. But I know if I get hit once with this, that turns this thing offline. Misty Rainforest has been revealed. I believe we have Trickster in this deck. So Trickster, Brazen Borrower, a land to try to block Murktide. Those are all useful. Here come the Bozo. And in this case, it looks like they're going to try to protect their hand with... Okay, I think they still have Counterspell. Okay, so with this trigger on the stack, we're going to activate it and then tick it up. I think that's the right idea. Maybe that's wrong if I'm putting them on Counterspell. I get a Sveloon. What did I say? What did I say about Sveloon? Modern is about tempo, not card advantage. I am going to die here, not because I don't have enough cards, but because of tempo. Remember that, people. Remember that. Merfolk community doesn't believe me on this one. Right now, Modern is about tempo, not card advantage. I could have used this actually a little bit earlier, before the Murktide came out. Like, this is partially what I have Subtlety in the deck for. So we attack for 11. It's not enough. Yeah, charge. Could have used... Remember, I could have... Well, I don't know if I could have used a land. Hey, from Los Angeles. Just wanted to say that my boyfriend and I love your channel. Oh, thank you so much. Relaford. Half of Magic players don't know what tempo versus card advantage means anyway. Well, I think most people know what card advantage is. It's just that I've died so many times with Sfeylun that, like, it was clear that the card advantage didn't even matter. Now, it does matter. Like I said, Sfeylun is a great card. Love it. Love Sfeylun. I'm going to love Sfeylun in this deck, but I cannot always see Sfeylun as great. Am I even going to bring anything in? Like, this deck is basically built to beat their deck. I think I have a great Game 1 deck, and I have a great... Well, honestly, I wish I won Game 1. I have so many good cards. I don't think I'm going to change anything. Chalice is amazing. Well, Chalice is amazing Game 1, less so on Game 2. It was really unfortunate that they hit... I didn't have many 1-drops that they could use, but they hit the Tide Shaper. And that did us in for like 6 damage. Otherwise, we might have just killed them. But that's magic. I guess we could get Flusterstorm in here. Over maybe some Glasspool Mimics. Everything else is okay. Actually, you know what? I'll keep... No, I don't want to keep Glasspool Mimic. It's too... It's a huge liability. I like the Dismember, though. Force of Negation could be a couple of... You know what? If I didn't have Chalice of the Void, I would do that, but I have Chalice, and I don't care. I don't like Relic, actually. I don't like Relic in this matchup. Especially when I'm playing with Chalice. I'll keep this hand. This hand looks good. I'm actually really low on Relic in the Murktide matchup. I think... I'm not going to say it's a mistake. Like, if I don't have anything to bring in, I would bring in Relic. And if I had dead cards like Spreading Seas, I'd bring in Relic. But I'm not really high on it. And if they don't even have Dragon Rage Channeler, I think it's worthless. I think it's way better. Let them play their Murktide, bounce it. And that is a much larger beating than trying to hold up mana. And you may not even hold up enough mana ever anyway. I have nothing to do with this hand. So we need some blue mana on the battlefield, in my opinion. Let's put the Glasspool Mimic in play. What do you think about Unlicensed Source? I think that's a great card. That could be in this deck if you want to play it. I think it's a great card. Maybe it's a little bit better in this deck because I'm playing with Chalice. I think Unlicensed Source is a very good one. Vinicius, hey, from Brazil. Love the funny tunes you play on your channel. You're welcome. What do you mean funny? These are the nice mellow tunes we got here. Hey, Hoax. It goes. Consider, go for it. Draws a card with Consider. I'm pretty sure I'm playing Tide Shaper here for 1 mana. It's not the most beautiful play, but it's a play. Ledger Shredder. A card that does not even care about Relic of Progenitus. Sure. I will attempt to outrace this Ledger Shredder. What is it? Whenever you cast their card, second spell each turn, connive, draw a card, then discard a card. If you discard a non-land card, put a counter on this. Oh, you discarded a land. So what does that mean? You've got a lot of lands, is what you're telling me? I'm tempted not to put this in play. No, but I guess I should, because I can play Silver Gilladept for a blue and a generic. Okay, I'm gonna think. I'm gonna tank it for a little while. Let's pretend we're thinking. Let's pretend we're thinking for a second, and then we're going to attack into Ledger Shredder and pretend like maybe we're bluffing. Because from their perspective, if I have a Lord, their Ledger Shredder dies. But if I don't have a Lord, this is like an easy 2 damage. Okay, so that went through. Let's not even show them a Lord. Not even going to show them a Lord. We're just going to cast this with Kicker. Hit the red source. Play Mutavault. Pass the turn. They're a mono blue deck now. They're still a mono blue deck. EE on 1! That is very, very not nice. Not nice at all. I actually can't do anything about that. Okay, do I draw a card? I think I draw a card with Silvergill Adept. So if I put Master of the Protron, I can't even do anything with it. So I have to hope to find an island. I found it. Or sorry, no, I didn't find it. I found a blue card I can pitch to Subtlety. I think they're still on defense though. Yay! There's more than enough damage here to close out the game. Ah, Mutavault, I haven't seen you in a long time. I miss you. You play chess, right? Are you following the big chess controversy? Oh yeah, the guy who might be a cheater. Well, he is a cheater. It's confirmed. He was banned on chess.com a few times. So he is a hard confirmed cheater. The question is he cheating in the long time control chess games? It is a bit weird. I can't tell if he actually is cheating or if he, we're talking about chess here, people, not Magic the Gathering. But it's also possible he's just this high-risk, janky chess player. But then how did it, because he's playing as if he's just playing recklessly, and he just doesn't care about his pieces, and his analysis all botched up. Because, I mean, he might be a tactical player in that way, and, like, hence, that's what's happening here. Consider, another consider. But, so, like, he could be a high variance, just janky aggro chess player, but at the same time, I don't know how he's winning and gaining like 200 rating points to get to 2,700. I mean, I'm only 2,100 and can still recite lines I calculated. Well, you know what? I'm a highly tactical player, and I mix up my lines all the time, but I don't do anything. I don't have any like stupid lines to say, and he like had a bunch of really dumb post-game analysis. He is 2,700. How's the new Merfolk? The new Merfolk is good, or did you just get started? We're in the middle of the stream. It's game 1 of the second, what's it called? Lightning Bolt. I didn't want to see that. Sorry for temporarily derailing chat. I don't mind. I don't mind talking about this. Yeah, I assumed he might have been nervous. He is new to that stage. No, he's not. I mean, that might be the highest thing, but, you know, as you climb, it doesn't matter. Like, he's somewhat used to it. It's very important. He is a hard confirmed cheater on chess.com, all right? Nobody, if you're, like, a good player, nobody cheats. Like, why would you do that? So you... It says something very hard about your character. So if anyone, maybe I should fill people in who are joining. There's a grandmaster that beat Magnus Carlsen very cleanly in a very obscure line, a very, very obscure line that Magnus Carlsen only played once in his entire life. Ugh. All right, Svelun, show that you're indestructible. And so he ends up losing, but there was like, this guy is also like one of the fastest growing chess grandmasters in chess at the moment. Fury. Does this do anything? It might not actually do anything, but at the same time, do I want a 3/3 creature on the board? Because it's gonna it's gonna trigger all the wards, and Svaelun will be indestructible if I like activate Mutavault. It might actually do nothing. On the other hand, it's a 3/3 creature. Okay, I think I'm gonna subtlety this. He's American, so he's probably cheating. How do you cheat in online chess? Oh, you use a computer. Simple as that. Computers are better than all humans in the world at the moment. Computers are above and beyond better than any human player on the face of the earth. Yeah, by when people say switch an engine on, they're talking about like turn a chess computer, like basically turn a chess computer on. Okay, attack for 3 because you have to. How do you cheat in chess? You use a computer. Computer will tell you what the best move is. They're better than any human on the earth, and it's been like that for a long time now. Let's draw some cards. Is there a world where I win here? Not really. Ooh, Dismember. Whatever. I'll put my opponent down to 1. If they, like, replay Fury, it won't be good for them anyway. How do you cheat in person? If you are signaled moves, or you have, like, if you have a device in your ear to get transmitted moves, you can very easily cheat. That's how you do it in person. And that's how it's been done many times, where someone is transmitting moves to somebody in a game. Okay, so stuff should still live here. They can only kill, I guess, the Hexcatcher and this thing. And they evoked it, so it's not coming back. They still have to pay mana for this. He beat Magnus Carlsen with godlike moves, but couldn't replicate the moves in the interview afterwards. Oh god, you have a way of killing my Svaelun? If you kill it, I still win. Because then you just burn this thing. Yeah, okay, we win. Because then we'll attack with 2 Mutavaults next turn. We're just 1. Yeah, there's many different ways of cheating in person. Which is why after that game, then they started playing the games with delay, so it wasn't completely live. Then if someone was watching, if someone was transmitting him moves somehow in some way, if that was the case, then they would be 15 minutes late consistently, and it wouldn't help them. All right, what do we want? Nothing. Well, I'm on the draw. Force Negation's a little bit better on the draw. Nothing. This deck is stacked. I could get rid of Tide Shaper. Maybe this is not that good. This hand's fine. Look for the guy making hand signals like in baseball base coach. That's not good. Turn 1 Ragavan, that sucks. Oh, we have a turn 1 Tide Shaper at least. Someone had to have given hand signals at the tournament. I don't see any other way around it. No, that not necessarily. They could have had just like now. The most common theory is somehow Magnus Carlsen's preparation got leaked to him somehow. I don't know how likely that was. That sounds unlikely because that's pretty inconsistent. Like, let's say the guy was cheating constantly. Ooh, that was good, well timed. Well, hopefully this resolves, and it does. Okay. Hold the fort. Hold back. Brought in Flusterstorm? Absolutely. A lot of cards I can hit with that Flusterstorm. It's wild computers have mastered chess. I had no idea. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The computers have been above and beyond better than humans for, like, 15 years now. It's not even close. It's not even a debate. No human can beat... No human, in their best form can beat a computer. at its own peak performance. But if preparation was leaked, like, I don't think that explains how he, like, rose from, like, 2,500 to 2,700. Assuming he's cheating. Was he wearing a 10-gallon cowboy hat? No. Not in this case, no. Are you shocked? Are you gonna... Oh, there, it's about to start. Here comes the Murktides. Okay, I have my own 1-drops that I can't play anymore. Guess I'll show Silver Gill Adapt. Ooh, Sveloon. See, Sveloon will be good here. Sveloon will be great here. Maybe I should have attacked. Magnus is smart enough to go above and beyond preparation, though. Like, the funny thing is, like, there's a million things Magnus Carlsen could do. Like, it was a pretty sus it was a pretty sus preparation. Because the guy prepared for an opening Magnus Carlsen played 1 time in the history of his life out of a million different openings that he's played. And he was on black, so he doesn't know what Magnus Carlsen is going to do. Or, I don't know, maybe he tried to lead him down the line. So that it was this one very rare opening, and he was apparently massively prepared for it the morning of. It's a very, very sus situation. There's, like, no hard evidence that the guy's cheating, but at the same time, it's very suspicious how like, his mannerisms around the entire situation are. Ooh, we got a Flusterstorm. So if my opponent had Force Negation, we would be ahead there. To do something or not to do something? You know what? I think... Stack for 2. You're useless, Silver Gill Adapt. And if they want to block with their Ragavan, that's totally fine. I'm going to wait until I have a Lord in play to play Tide Shaper. In his defense, Devil's Advocate, if it was Fabiano, we wouldn't at all be surprised about the prep. Yeah. Uh-oh, that's not good. Damn, I needed Sveloon in there. Okay. We lose our board, and Ragavan will get in for 2. Oh, I still have Dismember on the deck. I can still block this with Sveloon, it's just not lovely. Oh, they found our other Flusterstorm. Ah, you see my tech there, huh? Oh, I'm drawing my 1-drops. Yeah, I can't get hit by this once. So we'll throw the Sveloon out there. Yeah, the guy apparently, I should say allegedly, 'cause, no one disputed this so far. He has been banned at least once on chess.com for cheating. I think someone, or whatever, he's apparently been banned already on chess.com for cheating. EE on 3. Oh, that's sick. So I'm gonna get hit. Wow, I didn't know I was gonna lose this game, but it looks pretty likely I'm gonna lose this game now. So I'm gonna get hit for 8, putting me down to 9. Really bad shape. Brazen Borrower. Ooh, maybe that can petty theft my... can they play petty theft off this? Who the hell's is this? That's their exile zone? This is my exile zone. Okay, so I'm now in a situation where I have to chump block this Fury a few times. My hand's full of garbage. Okay, Chalice on 0, so they can't play EE on 0. That's crazy that Treasure Token helped kill my Sveloon. Again, hey, that's another thing about Sveloon. Oh, they tried to Spell Pierce it. Oh, they did it, though, to put a Subtlety in play. What am I going to do here? I would like to play for a win, but I don't know how. There was some engineer who tried to make a computer play Magic made a video on the computer's best whitelist and standard. Yeah, I saw that. Although, couldn't really watch the whole thing because... couldn't watch the whole thing. Just put it that way. Okay, we're going to put a Hexcatcher in play. Oh, did I screw up? You could counter it? Oh, subtlety. Oh yeah, maybe I should have just hard cast this thing. Okay, I'm dead. Chalice on 1 was not good enough. Thought I was going to win this. The start was good, but the 5 mana Fury, too strong. I do have answers to that, but I did not find them. Alright, they won the match. Yeah, moving on, let's get into round 2. Yeah, decklist was optimized against mono white. Something to that effect. Monster C says, is this a more attrition matchup than tempo? No, it's all tempo. You want to see that game? Let's go. Let's return to the game. How many cards do I still have in my hand? I have 3 cards still in my hand. Now, mind you, I can't play them because of Chalice. But I maxed out on my mana every single turn. I got tempoed out in this game. I got tempoed out. I want to stress this. Modern is tempo right now. It's more tempo than... it's way more tempo than card advantage. They just killed my Svelune like it was nothing. They put a creature in play and, well, blew up my other creatures. And then they played Engineered Explosives and then ate up my Svelune. And I got tempoed out after that. Oops. Where's... Play match. You must be playing Legacy? Nope. We're playing Modern. And I've always seen at this point the, some people have, like, argued with me, why are you bringing in Force Negation versus Murktide? Why are you bringing in, like, Subtlety? That's not good versus Murktide. Because, like, it's tempo. It's all about tempo. I'm gonna lose with cards in hand. Flusterstorm in Modern? Didn't know that. I know! It's something you can easily forget about that. And it's quite good right now because of the Cascade decks. Although I have not really seen... I haven't come across too many Cascade decks in the leagues. I know they're there. Alright, we've got a hand. Looks very traditional. We shall keep. We lost the die roll, but that's fine. We have an Ether Vial. How do you approach deck building at the moment then? Do you have to reevaluate good cards because card advantage isn't so important? Of course, absolutely. Always be, in Modern, always be flexible, always be changing. The Murktide deck just recently started playing with, like, Fury, and for, like, I don't know, the last 8 months they didn't. Choose a creature type. What is it? The creature type is Dwarf. Okay, there's something janky with this deck. I can't remember. There is a shape... Oh, it is a Dwarf deck. They're playing with Magda. They're playing with Magda. I will wait for Magda, I guess? Don't wanna dismember that stupid changeling. It was really unfortunate, the things, how they turned on this 2 games. Hopefully you can solve games as it should. Well, you know, it's Magic. You know, it happens. I understand how the Murktide matchup works, though. Okay, this is the namesake card. Other dwarves get +1/+0. Whenever dwarf you control becomes tapped, create a token. Okay, so this is a dwarf. So you're gonna get a token immediately. Sacrifice 5 treasures, search your library for an artifact dragon. So anyway, I'll dismember the Magda. I'm gonna assume you are very dangerous. Love to see the Merfolk Master playtest Elf getting hype. Goblin getting hype, and Merfolk thanks to Dominaria. Just a little bit. I don't think this is a massive big upgrade so far. It's an upgrade though. I mean, I think it's better than Lord of Atlantis. Yeah, goblins got new cards, elves got new cards. Everyone got something. Whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, create a treasure token. I don't understand how they missed their trick. Oh, they sacked the... Oh, I think they tried to add mana with it in their attack step. And then they just lost their treasure. I think they could have undid it, though. Okay, I'm not going to give them another turn with this. No way. No siree, Bob. We need... Honestly, at this point, we need a few 1-drops. Because now, like, every deck has tons of insane 1-drops. I would say we need at least 4, but we definitely could use 8 good 1-drops. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but, like, you know, it doesn't feel like anything's changing. Unsettled Mariner. Attack for 1. Alright, so this... I'm guessing this is a good matchup if I can just kill Magda. Well, we'll see what they have in store at the higher curve. I can't remember. I think there's other cards in this deck. I think they have Sorin in here, too. It's coming, guys. Future is bright. Tribal are getting stuff. Maybe. Silver Gillidapt reveals Silver Gillidapt. That's okay, I guess, but not amazing. Just pass and then see how they attack. I'll put like Master of the Pearl Trident in play. I could have just played Master of the Pearl Trident pass, but just in case I drew like Mutavault, I would have wanted to play it as my land drop for the turn. Insect. Universal Automaton. Alright. Chris Ross would be really excited about this deck. Chris tried to make a Changeling deck not too long ago. So I will just... That is the bravest attack I've seen in my life. Especially since nothing... I have perfect information. Our opponent just like walked right into this. Oh, I can't block this stuff. Can't block and can't be blocked. Alright, block you then. I don't know, maybe that's not... Maybe that wasn't even worth it. I mean, we have the lower life total, so maybe that still is worth it. Subtlety. Excellent card. Sort of. Okay, I'm just gonna start getting aggro. Maybe I'm just gonna do that. Next Merfolk, in next card they play, I'll just Subtlety it. And then, end of turn, Silver Gillidapt, and then flash in Hexcatcher. Yeah, they are Merfolk too. Yeah, I know. So I cannot... Gotta be careful when I get Lord of Atlantis. It can be very dangerous. What are they doing? Return target dragon, creature card, or Ugin Planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, then. You got it, bub. Not bad. I respect. That's pretty cool. Went straight to the hand. Got a meeting. I'm out. See you later, Chuck. I don't get it. Can't I block this thing? Take 2. You got the 4-turn clock there. But my clock is a bit faster. So if I can get a land, I don't have to pitch my subtlety to anything. And we got the land. Hopefully we can get over this match over with very quickly, because I get the sense our opponent does not have the will to play this out. Or, or I don't know, they'll play it out, but this is not gonna... I guess they really needed that Magda. What would have happened if they got Magda out? So they spewed out all these things, and then they go get their big dragon? Okay. It's not a really impressive showing for our deck. Our deck didn't really do anything. Hurkyl's Recall, nothing. Spreading Seas could do something. Force negation probably doesn't do anything. Chalice. I'm gonna assume they have Cavernous Souls in their deck. I'll just bring in the Spreading Seas. This should be all about... Oh, you know, Hurgo's Recall might be okay versus Magda, and if they have enough treasure tokens at combat, I just bounce them all back to their hand, but it seems like a pretty crappy use of it. Doesn't Hurgo's Recall bounce all the treasures? I think it's a bit... It would do it for one turn. Then I still have to deal with the threat the next turn. So, but it might be true. I think I'd just rather deal with Magda with Dismember and Merfolk Trickster, which would do something very similar. The Ancient Ziggurat. Yeah, the Monster CC says, the Merfolk Mirror again! Damn it, I'm running out of this mocha coffee slush. The Dwarves. Yeah. Tax me by 1. So what do I hit? Salty is great. I guess we'll hit the Dwarf land? Spend this amount only to cast a creature? Maybe we hit the Ancient Ziggurat. Oh, this don't work! Oh, I feel stupid. Any permanent. Oh yeah, you got me. You got me. Which really sucks, because then I could have played Silvergill Adept and just Tide Shaper. What if Merfolk got a Merfolk-specific Ragavan? That would be insane! That would be insane. I'd love that. Merfolk 2-1, attacks, get a treasure token. I can play the top card of my opponent's library. Sign me up. Sign me up. Okay, so I'm gonna do something about this. I guess we're gonna do this. I'm gonna keep this Silvergill Adept and try to maybe get a land to put Svelune in play. How's the new Merfolk Lord performing? It's performing well. It's acceptable. It's not bonkers crazy. Merfolk is not like making 1,000,000 5-0s. And the fundamental problem is that it does what Merfolk already does, more or less. Like, it's not that insane of a change. Okay, let's not make the same mistake twice. Shall we? I like that. Okay, so I can kill Magda. We'll leave one up for the stupid Unsettled Mariner. Every other color should have a Ragavan. I think they'll just ban it. Do you count new changelings as Merfolk when new sets are coming out? Yes, but they're usually garbage creatures. Hey, pleb. Changelings are usually not that good. Even this Unsettled Mariner sees no play except in this deck. And even then, you know, this is a debatable card. Or this is a debatable deck. If it said 2, if it taxed by 2, if it taxed people by 2 mana, it'd be a complete game changer. It's just, taxing by 1 mana just doesn't matter in Modern. Prove me wrong, people. Prove me wrong. Oops. No, 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 no. I don't mean. No, I didn't mean for that to happen. Ugh. That's the chat. Oops. Undo. Undo. Okay. So they're going to get a treasure, but fortunately they're not going to get that many treasures. But they're probably going to play like another something. See, look, I paid for it. Your thing died. I have less life, so I'll block this. Mass Vandal. I'm gonna blow up my vial. Enters the battlefield. You can exile a creature from a card from your graveyard. If you do, exile target artifact or enchantment opponent controls. Go for it. Go wild. I'll probably just... I mean, if I draw a blue source, I'll play Sveloon. If I draw nothing, I'll just Tide Shaper a land. Or will I Spreading Seas a land? Because I get to draw a card off of this. We'll just add to our board. Okay, now this is going to stick. Return to our dragon. Okay, let's... No, we're not going to let you return squat. See, there's the Cavernous Souls. That's why I didn't keep the Chalice in. I couldn't see this deck without Cavernous Souls. Why would you play... I mean, unless it was on a budget. Spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature type among creatures you control. This effect can't reduce the amount of mana the spell costs by more than 5. Changeling and Double Strike. Oh, so what? It just costs 2 mana because you have all creature types? Uh-huh. Okay, so that's fine if we can get Sveloon in play. Pyre of Heroes. That could be a problem. That could be a problem. Play this. Spreading Seas this. Oh, and they might get something insane out of this. They could sack the Valiant Changeling for some, I don't know, monster. Yeah, the 7 mana cost is good versus Prismatic Ending. Absolutely. But still doesn't beat Fury and Solitude. What if opponent gets Grizzlebrand? Oh, did I play this turn? I probably shouldn't have done that. If I got a land, I should just play Sveloon and then use the Rogue as a creature. Because I might draw a land off of the Spreading Seas. How's Hexcatcher feel after multiple tests? It's okay. Not a massive upgrade. Card does what basically Merfolk already does. It's just convenient that you have a Lord that has Flash. I feel like we need a command here. Everyone's asking me, how's Hexcatcher? How's Hexcatcher? How's Hexcatcher? I don't know, watch the stream. I know this is like a pretty common question, but it's, but it honestly is not as insane of a card as a lot of people were hoping for. There might be a build though that it just makes it like good. Okay, our opponent lost connection to the game. Now they're back. How is Mindsinger? Haven't tested it. I assume that it is not going to be that good. 3 mana for a Merfolk. That's very high. That's like, it needed us to like just control it permanently. That would have been a bomb. If it was just Threads of Disloyalty, like ETB, steal the creature, keep it forever, but it's like keep it for as long as the creature is like as long as your creature is alive. I think that's crap. Like the creature is just gonna die. The colors are awkward for the kicker too. Actually, it's not. Like we have both Fiery Islet and Waterlog Grove that you can play in your deck, and I think actually the kicker is quite possible to get online. Does YouTube have commands or stream bots? It has stream bot. Is this stream bots? I don't know. I think maybe not. 2 Sveloons, beautiful. If it wasn't for that Pyre of Heroes, I would not be I wouldn't be scared, but they've got Pyre of Heroes out, and they've got this insanely highly costed creature. Overall, my day's good. I got like a delicious mocha coffee slush over here. I get to playtest more with this card. Chat on screen is frozen. It might be slow to update. I know what you mean though. Okay, they sacked the 2 mana one. What are we getting for 3 mana? It's birthing pod all over again. Imperial Recruiter. Can go to yet anything. Maybe another Valiant Changeling. I don't know how to fix the chat. I can see it. Why are you not moving? Grist. That's a problem. Creating a token, though. Okay. The hell happened? You got 2 tokens. What? There's got to be something here that doubles it? Oh, they milled and they found another. They found a changeling, so that counts as an insect. So they get 2 tokens. Yes. Okay. Interesting. They don't attack with their Valiant Changeling. Well, whatever. They can just stack a great hand here. No Changeling this time. What's the ultimate? Each opponent loses life equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard? I guess that's what they're going for. So now they can sack the Recruiter for something sweet. Okay. Gonna blow up my Spreading Seas. Fair enough. Thank the Lord, I was wondering when you would battle with Vidalian Hexcatcher. Yep. Oh, we got Critter Hoof. So that's what you... Okay, well, I think we're dead. 21. I can soak up 4 damage. 14. Yeah, that's way too much. It's fine. Okay. Do I want anything else? I don't think so. Just run it back. Hope. Basically just keep things off the battlefield. Would you like to go first? Yes. This is not the greatest hand. I guess I'll keep it though. To some degree, I don't want creatures to go to the graveyard. Because then that Vandal thing comes alive. Wonder if Hexcatcher would be too good if I put a token into play ETB. Hexcatcher would be too good. I don't know. It'd be insane. No Relic? I don't think it's relevant. You guys are bringing Relic in too often. This is not a graveyard-based deck. Raznat, what would you bring Relic in for? Oh, I guess just for like the Vandal thing? And maybe Grist? I think it's way too niche. What I don't like about this hand is it doesn't curve out at all. It's very poorly curving out. So I'm doing nothing on turn 2. At least I'm on the play here. Okay, it looks like they're on a 1-lander. Okay, their hand is way worse than ours. And we're about to Spreading Seas their only land. Ugh. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna Spreading Seas. Alright. I think this hand should just win. Deploy the beef. I also have Hexcatcher for, what's its face? The Pyre of Heroes, if necessary. Deep-root Waters could be great with Hexcatcher. Deep-root Waters is very slow and clunky. You spend 3 mana and do nothing. 3 mana, do nothing, pass. Very dangerous in Modern. Very dangerous. Why didn't you play one of these last turn? You definitely had one of them last turn. Okay, I think they have that Vandal creature again. Oh, and it doesn't matter, I can't block it. You got screw Silvergill Adapt. I'm just gonna put a Master of the Pearl Trident in play. Just put a bunch of Lords. I'll do nothing. Hopefully they don't play Magda. I mean, I guess I could have played around Magda by playing Silvergill Adept, revealing Vidalian Hexcatcher, wait for the Magda, and then dismember it. Is our matchup against Omnath midrange actually that bad? Yes, because every single card is just massively powerful. Solitude, must answer threat, plus just deals with our board really hard. Fury, same thing. Omnath replaces itself, gains a bunch of mana and a bunch of life. What else? Teferi, must deal with. And like, in theory, we could maybe race it, but that doesn't work either, because they can play both Fury and Solitude for free and blink it with Ephemerate, and also have Wrenn and 6 to shoot off any of our 1-toughness creatures, or our 1-drops, which we don't really play because of Wrenn and 6 so prevalent in the metagame. So it's not even close to like 2016, 2017 Merfolk versus Jund. No, it's not even the same deck. Not at all. Okay, this could be a problem. Hopefully I don't get punished for playing bad. See, Jund was 1-for-1 removal, but I don't really look at the Omnath deck like that at all. Especially since some of their removal is also a threat. Is there a combo here I'm missing? The Dwarves, whenever you tap, sacrifice 5. Okay, I can get this thing in play. That's fine. Well, it's not fine, but whatever. It was 2 mana anyway. So now what do I do? Do I kill this thing? Okay. More manas, more problems, more troubles. I will play a Silvergill Adept. Let's draw some cards, because I could use them. I assume I'm fine here. Just out of curiosity, if I kill this and just let everything else live, am I fine with that? Probably. Let's start. I think I'm going to be killing Magda. Okay, draw a Lord. Nice. the Lord here. Do I want to attack for more? 5. Yeah, we might as well attack for more. Let's attack for the most that I can. And I think all I have to do is dismember this and then just get eaten up by this card. Oh, this is costing me a lot of life. Hopefully there's not another Magda over there. I guess what I could have done is I could have done this on their turn. Maybe that would have been worth it. No, they can tap an untapped creature, so I don't want to do that. Oh, they still could have done that. Oh, they missed that. They could have tapped all their creatures and made a bunch of treasures in response. I won't forget the tax. Got the tax in mind. I forgot you were here. Oh, you took a nap? Yeah. Alright, welcome. My brother has arrived. You gonna get some coffee? It's hard work being a... You guys probably sleep during the stream all the time, too. You watch a few games, take a snooze in your chair, and then wake up. Ah, God. So what, we lose? No, hold on. Okay, how many creatures do I have? I gotta sack my board for this, though. Ah, disgusting. Okay, hold on. Exclude. They can use... Add one mana of any color. They can also add colorless. Oh, I could actually sack 2 things, and if they don't have a land, we win. Okay, hold on. Okay, I would take 1, 2, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I have to leave some stuff unblocked. But if they have a land, we lose. Okay, Hexcatcher, do your worst. Do your job. That one treasure I let them have early in the game is gonna really do me in. Because I didn't have to let Magda, like, live so easily. Okay, so... I'm probably gonna get rid of Sveloon, too. I mean, I could sack everything. Okay, I'll get rid of Sveloon. And then I could get rid of the Hex Mage, and then I can just block a lot of garbage on the ground. So if they have a land, we can't let that happen. Okay, and I think I'll sack the Hex Mage, because I have 8. I think I'm going to play around a land, and I can let this thing through and then block 2 things, take 8 damage, and then that'd be that. Okay, so you have a Pyre of Heroes, but you don't have 2 mana to activate, and I think we win from here. You have nothing that adds mana here. Oh, I don't have 8! Oh, I sacked 1 Lord, so I can only attack for 6. Oh, I had to leave the Lord and hope that they didn't have a land. Ugh. Well, okay, hold on. So I take 6, 7, 8, go to 11. Kill off 2 things. And then I'll be at 3, and even if they have these 2 things left, I think I should be fine. Or in this case, I'm going to take 8. Yeah, I'm going to take 8. So 6, 7, 8, go to 3. There's 2 unblockable damage. Next turn going to be interesting. Oh, they go in with the Unsettled Mariner.
Kevin Costner.
But then they're going to have Pyre of Heroes active for next turn. Ugh. Okay, we have quite a few draws. We have quite a few praise at drawing a good card. We have to take this damage. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, so I can draw. We have one draw, and we have a Waterlog Grove. I had to leave them with 1 mana and keep the lords.
Lord.
Totally forgot.
I'm here now.
Yeah, you're here.
Luck. I'm your lucky charm.
You've never called anything useful off the top of my deck. You always call for the useless cards. Did I bring in subtlety? Subtlety doesn't change anything. Just trying to think if I should tick this up. I think yes, because if I draw Silver Gillet, if I get, I think I have to take up the Vial to 3 to increase my chances of winning via,
Keep it for
the thing. Well, I can pay 2 mana for a Silver Gillet app. The Rogue. Okay, that's not the Rogue. Boom, 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 boom. Wow. Yeah, I lose.
That sucks.
It does suck. And now I'm just wondering, do they have the land? Did they have the land? That was a big punt. It's a punt that can happen, though. Your brother needs to be the voice of Angrath? Sure. I don't know. Oh, what do I do now? Because they're gonna sack this stupid thing. I need to get this thing off the board. Dismember wasn't even good in this case. You know, I had another punt. I could double block this thing. Well, that wouldn't have been good. I probably would have lost anyway. Yeah, maybe the line that we have was good. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna attack with everything. Charge! If it wasn't for the trample, well, actually, I'm losing all cylinders here. Violence, Valoon, it would do nothing. So close yet so far. Doesn't Hexcatcher make Counterspell more playable instead of Vile? No. Huh? Counterspell more playable instead of Vile. Holding up Counterspell doesn't hurt that much anymore, while the Flash makes Vile a terrible draw? No, but not everything in my deck has Flash. Okay, I'll concede.
He saw enough.
I saw enough, yeah. It's a lot of damage. Or was it? I'm at 3. If they attack with everything, I die. Yeah, everything gets +4/+4, I die. Oops, they said good game. Return to game. Good GG. It was a good game. Could have been a little bit better if I
catch
played
him in
better.
the YouTube comments.
Yeah, catch him in the YouTube comments. I blundered that. It was a tight game, but I blundered it away. Yeah, also Vile is more for mana than Flash. No, it's for both. I don't know it's more important than one depending on the matchup. Like if you're up against controller combo, Flash is more important than the mana. If you're up against if I'm up against some creature-based deck with little removal, then the mana is more relevant than the Flash. I do have a complete Flash deck, though. Like, we don't... Here's the thing. We don't know what the best deck is for this card. So here's my complete Flash deck. It's like all Flash creatures. Brineborn Cutthroat, Spellstarter Sprite, Hexcatcher, Sphaloon, and a bunch of other Flash creatures. And I'm testing all of them out. And this deck performed very well when I played it. I'll get around to it eventually, but, like, no one seems to like watching me play this deck because it doesn't look or feel like a Merfolk deck.
Sphaloon doesn't have Flash.
Yeah, that's the only non-Flash one, but it is worth keeping.
No. Replace it with Squeenabob.
So far, nobody knows what the best shell is for this new Hexcatcher card. Does it have Mutavault? Does it not have Mutavault? Is it high curve? Is it low curve? Is it with, like, more taxing cards? Is it with less taxing cards? So far, my take is it's just a convenient Flash Lord. Yeah, we found an opponent.
Next victim.
Yeah, we won the die roll. Some pleb is like, I think mono white humans is the best fit. One land hand, one mulligan. We're up against a Kahira deck. So controller elementals, either way, will keep this hand and dump the chalice, because there's no way it's going to be good versus a Kahira deck. Of all combinations, I do not know what would be good versus. Bunch of Silver Gill Adepts, sort of nice. And we have one flash creature. Appears that we are up against the control deck. Maybe, are we up against that Days Undoing deck that we saw? So disappointing. I want to get stuff on the board, though. If I can draw another land, I'll, which we do, we'll play Aether Vial on turn 2. Monster likes the idea of a flash deck. So do I. It's probably Chalice on 1. Okay, well. So much for that Aether Vial, those Aether Vial dreams. I think this does look like that Days Undoing thing that we faced not long ago. Okay.
Oh, that was years ago.
Years, you say?
But I remember like it was yesterday.
Despite the fact that Aether Vial's offline, I sort of like our position here. We have a flash creature that can interact with Planeswalkers, and I'll have it online next turn. And we also have Mutavault, so if they sweep the board, we can still apply pressure. Yeah, it's that same deck. So we can kill this. 'Cause I sort of want to keep this. I'll let them do their thing. I think it's a bit of a waste to throw away the Silver Gill Adept and the Subtlety. Found Force of Negation, which is not very useful versus us at all. At least not in this board state. I cannot cast any of these. Narset. We'll just kill Narset. And now we'll have Subtlety up. They may suspect something, but whatever. Attack. Play a Waterlog Grove, just in case they somehow make us lose our hand. Wouldn't mind having that in play. Like if they Days Undoing. Okay, so this is where I think I'm gonna start getting greedy, so we can get their life total low enough.
Greed is good, as Matt Maddock would say.
Matt Maddock, are you here? I think Matt Maddock's here under a different username. So how much we do? We would have dealt 6, 9. They go to 5. Then if they wipe the board, we still hit with Mutavault.
It was
Okay,
like justified.
Now I can get my revenge on this deck, because I actually think we should be well positioned versus this thing. Is Flusterstorm good? It doesn't hit the Planeswalkers, doesn't hit Solitude. Well, welcome, Monster CC. Wait, you haven't been subscribed? Okay, Chalice is garbage, we know that. Spreading Seas might... Okay, what did I bring in? I brought Force... Maybe this is all we do. Dismember.
Is Monster CC coming to Vegas?
Monster CC, are you going to Vegas? I'm going to go to Vegas.
I know Willie's gonna be there.
Oh, Matt Maddock is here. Okay, then. He's just quietly lurking in the background. That's all good. Is Sig playable? Nope. Maybe I'll replace all the Dismembers with Spreading Seas, which can at least hit their creature lands, which can be really annoying in the late game. Lord Magicus is listening on the way home. Listening to... Yeah, I guess you can listen to a podcast. And the opponent plays Narset. I guess I should take... That would be a level up to my content that I adapt it as like a radio. I have a hand with Tide Shaper, Sphaloon, and Videlian Hexcatcher, and I keep. It's also got a Mutavault.
Main phase.
My opponent plays Flooded Strand and passes. I, in turn, play Tide Shaper on turn 1 and pass.
Storm count 1.
My opponent fetches at end of turn. Probably to go get oh, they get a Plains to play around the Tide Shaper. But will they play around it for long? They have a Mystic Gate. Tide Shaper only a 1/1. But that's okay. Oh, I should have put a Mutavault in play. That's okay too. Tide Shaper goes in for the attack. I have the Vidalian Hexcatcher up as interaction. If they go for that Teferi Time Raveler, it's going to get eaten up by the Tide Shaper, being sacrificed. What will they do? They play right... Oh, they have Narset. Good enough for me. Vidalian Hexcatcher in play. Target Narset. Sacrifice the Tide Shaper.
Pwn.
Narset countered. Vidalian Hexcatcher has already earned its keep in the deck. We can follow that up with a Sveloon, but do we follow it up with Sveloon? If they have Supreme Verdict, we lose everything. Instead, we attack with a Hexcatcher and pass the turn with the Mutavault and 2 blue up, because next turn, if I get my 4th land in play, I can play Sveloon with Mutavault up to protect versus the Supreme Verdict of all verdicts. Now, they also got to remember this Mutavault. I can also activate it and sacrifice it to the Hexcatcher to eat up their Planeswalkers. Teferi Time Raveler. Do I let this live? Do I not? I could sack these 2 creatures. I'm gonna let it live. If it goes down, it dies. If it goes up, it lives. This is actually great. Okay, they're going up. Teferi Time Raveler. Teferi Time Raveler goes up to 5. They don't want to bounce anything because I have 4 power on the board with the Hexcatcher. I've got the Force Negation, which is completely late and complete garbage at this point. But we're going to swing in. Or are we going to swing in? Maybe we... Yeah, we're going to swing in. Got to make sure that this Teferi Time Raveler doesn't get out of control. Attack the Teferi Time Raveler. Any responses from the opponent? No response. Teferi, down to 1. No bouncing for you anymore. Pass the turn. I have 2 Sveloons in hand. One can be sacrificed to the Force Negation once we get rid of the Teferi Time Raveler. Maybe the double sack on Teferi wasn't the craziest thing. You know what? I don't really like the use of our resources like that. Okay, so now, Supreme Verdict up. I don't like that. But can I do anything about it? No, we're gonna go all... yeah, we're gonna go all in here.
You don't even say what the card was.
I drew the Silver Gill Adapt for the turn.
What the hell doesn't he like?
Will there be a Supreme Verdict in my future? The future was bleak. Supreme Verdict played, blowing up my Mutavault and my Hexcatcher. But we do get to play, untap, and not worry a little bit about that Teferi Time Raveler by playing our Sveloon. Sveloon in play. Do they want to use another Supreme Verdict on this thing? Do they have Solitude? Again, Teferi goes up, ticks up to 3. Place sorceries at instant speed. Could be anything. Could be a Supreme Verdict, could be Prismatic Ending. Force Negation rotting in my hand. Memory Deluge. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast the spell. They spent 4 mana.
2 mana.
They are looking for an answer, which, I guess there's only going to be Solitude is the only good thing. If we kill this Teferi Time Raveler with the Sveloon in play, the game will be firmly in our clutches. Firmly. You don't know. You want to know how firm that is. It is super firm. Attack Teferi Time Raveler. Any response? Opponent has nothing. No blockers. Teferi Time Raveler down. And now it's the Merfolk Master's turn to take over this game. We are going to follow up Silver Gill Adapt with another Silver Gill Adapt into Silver Gill Adapt. If they want a Supreme Verdict here, Sveloon will stick on the board. Sveloon is not afraid. And Subtlety in hand, that can be pitched to the Sveloon. And also a Glasspool Mimic in hand, which can be pitched to Force of Negation. Opponent, big time. Big time under pressure. What are they going to do? 6 mana in play. They take their time and crack the Misty Rainforest. Getting the Breeding Pool in play. Having green mana. Is that of any use to them? Narset on the stack. Absolutely not. Getting Force of Negation. Getting rid of the Glasspool Mimic. And they conceded. The game was over. After the Teferi was gone, it was all upstream for us. The Merfolk player wins the match. All right, how was that? It's good for people in the car. I hope that was descriptive enough. Commentary like an MMA fight at the same time. Don't you wish that one drop from Arena that makes a true Simic duel was in Modern? It wouldn't. Yeah, it would be great.
We need Joe Rogan.
He's not like an MMA and was he an MMA announcer?
Yes, he was.
Oh, that's what it was.
And Fear Factor.
I forgot that's where he started. Yeah, I know he started with. I knew he was in Fear Factor, but I didn't know he was an MMA announcer.
Now we just.
We won the die roll.
Now he just smokes DMT and talks shit.
This hand is really clunky. All right, we have a 1-land Ether Vial with a ton of 3 drops and 4 drops. We got 2 Subtleties, a Sveloon, and we have a Chalice of the Void. We're gonna keep this, but we did win the die roll, so we do have the time. That was pretty sick, actually. Well, so long as honestly, it wasn't too bad. Okay, Minamo followed up with Ether Vial. The Merfolk Master plays Ether Vial, turn 1. It's got to put a lot of pressure on the opponent.
Storm count 1.
Storm count 1, but it's not relevant in this matchup.
You don't know that.
Opponent thinking, or maybe trying to get to the game. Passing the turn, opponent plays Polluted Delta followed by Mishra's Bauble. This could be anything. Could it be Death Shadow? Could be Murktide. One way or another, opponent's going to look at the top of their library to see if they like the card or not. Because if they like it, they won't crack. If they hate it, they're going to fetch. They don't like it. Polluted Delta, immediately cracked. Probably means they're looking for gas. Or more lands. Which one we don't know yet.
I got gas.
Snow-covered island entering the battlefield. What could that possibly mean? Oh yes, they cracked it because they knew they were going to get a new card off of the bauble. So they have to do that. Ether Vial trigger on the stack goes up to 1. We get our land to play. Turn 2, Chalice on 1. Is that something the opponent likes to see or not? We're going to see in a second. Is Spell Pierce in their deck? Spell Snare is in the deck. That is a card that has not seen the light of day for like 5 years, coming just in time clutch to hit the Chalice of the Void. Opponent's super happy about that. They're like, I haven't hit anything with a Spell Snare all year. Chalice on 1. Delicious. Opponent immediately plays with Ragavan Nimble Pilfer, but with the dash, so it must go back to hand. I'm going to let it resolve. I'm going to keep my subtleties. I like to keep my Ragavans close, but I keep my subtleties even closer. Ragavan attacks. It'll be their last one. The odds of them hitting a 1-drop, not very good in this Merfolk deck. They see the Vidalian Hexcatcher. So if they had any confusion if they're up against a Merfolk deck, well, there's no confusion anymore. Ragavan goes back to hand. Hexcatcher disappears from existence. This Ether Vial has a destiny only going 1 place, and that is up. But I draw a land for the turn. 3 lands in play. It means Sveloon may hit the board and pass the turn. Sveloon can only... There's only one way out for this. There's only one way the Sveloon is going to die. And that is...
a bullet to
well,
the
actually,
head.
there's a few ways. There's like Fury, and there's also
Cyanide
Unholy
Capsule.
Heat. But Unholy Heat is offline. Only Mishra's Bauble, a land, and an instant in the graveyard. Unholy Heat offline.
I just got here. Why is Nikachu over-explaining everything?
Just in case someone is just apparently a lot of you guys just listen to it. All right, Mishra's Bauble on the stack. It's going to resolve. No different from any other Mishra's Bauble in the past. Actually, Fury has a problem because I've got Master of the Pearl Trident in hand with an Ether Vial on 2. If they go for the Fury, it's going to be all over. It's awesome, don't stop. Expressive Iteration on the stack. They haven't played a land for the turn. Expressive Iteration probably looking for land drops. But they find a dress down that has entered the exile zone. What is it going to do? Gain a card? Pass the turn, shocking with the steam vents. Very suspicious. They've got the Ragavan in hand. And they know they have the Ragavan in hand. Dress down on the stack. It's going to resolve. Sveloon will not get to... With this being at the end of turn, they get to draw a card. And Sveloon lost all abilities. So will the Master of the Pearl Trident. What that means is Sveloon will not draw a card for the turn. Not at all. Now a big decision here. Do we tick up the vial or not? And with 2 4-drops in hand, I say yes. The vial is destined to go up. Ottawara, Soaring City, very disappointed that I ticked my vial up, because now I can just hard cast the subtleties. 2 subtleties in hand. Dress down, down. Minamo in play to untap the Sveloon at a moment's notice. Opponent thinking really hard. 3 mana. Ether Vial at 3, anything could happen. Could flash in. Any sort of Merfolk. Maybe a replacement Sveloon. Is it worth even killing the Sveloon on the battlefield? But of course that Sveloon will bury them. They're at 10 life. They go after the Master of the Pearl Trident with a lightning bolt. The ward triggers. They instantly pay the 1. Master of the Pearl Trident is down. It's gone. Interestingly, I had Ottawara. I played it very stupidly because I had 3 mana up. But you know what? We need the Ottawara in play for the subtlety. But it could have been used to protect any of our cards in play, particularly the Sveloon, if there's an unholy heat in the making. Opponent fetches out an island. Very suspicious.
Imagine if you talked like this at a live table at a tournament.
They'd probably be angry. Opponent plays Murktide Regent for a ton, but we've got the subtlety. Hard cast, full retail. Murktide. Where is it going to go? The top or bottom of the deck? Opponent says bottom. That's a sign of weakness. And it is time for the Ether Vial to go to 4 to get ready for the second subtlety. Now Minamo on the line to untap the Sveloon if necessary. We crack in for 6, drawing a Mutavault. It's all but over for the Murktide player. All but over. Opponent considers their last options by casting Consider, knowing that the time is slowly sipping away from them. Another considering if they should have played another deck. Maybe this was the wrong one.
3, 2, 1.
Perhaps building the graveyard for the Murktide coming back, but they know that they're completely outmatched by 2 3/3s. A single Murktide is not going to do it, and they calculated the lines, and they have conceded the game. Whoa! As I say conceded the game, I was about to concede the game. Going into the blue-red Murktide matchup, cards that are good. Flusterstorm, because if we have Chalice on 1, we can still consistently counter their instants and sorceries with the Storm triggers. Dismember is very good. We're not going to touch any of those. Cards that are not so good. Tide Shaper is not that good. Okay, goodbye Tide Shaper. Everything else is fine. Submit the deck. Force Negation's not too bad either. You know what? Let's bring in some forces. Oh, it's too late. Merfolk Master submitted the deck too quickly. The opponent also submitted their deck quickly. Force Negation, not bad, versus Engineered Explosive. Sometimes Dress Down. They've got those big bomb cards that you have to counter. Opponent on the play, high ambitions. Very mana heavy hand for me.
Stuck.
We've got Mutavault, 3 islands, 1 Vial, Master of the Pearl Trident, and a Vidalian Hexmage we're going to keep. We can counter, potentially, Archmage's Charm, turn 3. Drawing Subtlety, a card our opponent did not like seeing last turn. They hated it. Opponent with the Spell Pierce on turn 1. They've done this several times now. A lot of these Murktide players, they don't play Dragon Rage Chandler, they don't play Ragavan on turn 1. They prefer to Spell Pierce the Vial, which they don't even know that we have in our hand. Fetching out Steam Vents, they got 2 mana, and they play the Ledger Shredder on turn 2. Excellent play. Do I Subtlety or do I not? We're going to let the Ledger Shredder resolve. Play land, pass. Hold up the Vidalian Hexcatcher. Consider on the stack. They decide just to draw a card from it. With Mishra's Bauble, they're going to what's it called? Connive. Too many of these abilities look exactly the same to me. Mishra's Bauble. Targeting me. They want to know what's up. What's going to happen in the future. Ledger Shredder. Looking at surveying the situation. Attacks for 2. I'm going to take the 2. I have no blocker. There's nothing I can do about that. Except at end of turn, I'm going to be playing the Hexcatcher. Hexcatcher is on the battlefield. And they probably do not want to play a removal spell unless they intend on getting rid of that Hexcatcher. Top deck was Chalice of the Void. Incredible draw. I'm going to attack for 1, playing Chalice, and then we will protect the Chalice from that spell snare that we saw in game 1 with the Hexcatcher. Chalice on 1. Very strong play here. Shunning off basically the entire deck. You don't have to worry about the Ragavans, the Unholy Heats anymore. The Considers, the Spell Pierces, they're all offline. With Subtlety in hand, if they go for the Murktide, it's going to get hit by the Subtlety. Spell Pierce coming back? Maybe. Maybe I should have Spell Pierces in my deck. CBS called, they want their announcers back. Expressive Iteration on the stack. It's going to resolve. Nothing can be done here.
Beautiful shot. Hole in one.
Scalding Tarn hit the exile zone. Obviously going to be entering play. Opponent has no other play. Going to attack with their Ledger Shredder only for 2. Surprisingly, they fetch and shock so much that the game is only equal. 16-16 apiece. Merfolk player hasn't even attacked yet, and the game is still afoot. Now is a good time to wonder, do you play the Sveiloon? Because if you play the Sveiloon, there's no protection from Fury, but the upside is insane. But you don't have to play the Sveiloon. You could play nothing past the turn. But then you have no protection versus the Murktide. Greed it is. Sveiloon. Getting cast. Opponent immediately fetches with Scalding Tarn. Is Mystical Dispute in the future? Getting out a basic island. Mystical Dispute on the stack. Merfolk Master completely blown out. Would have been better to pass the turn. Now, 4 cards versus 2, but of course, the Chalice of the Void on 1 on the battlefield might mean the Merfolk deck has way more cards than the Murktide player. Just how it is. Brazen Bar drawn for the turn. With 5 mana in play, Petty Theft plus just casting this card could be huge. Pass. Play at flash speed. Either Subtlety or the Petty Theft could be big. They can attack with the Ledger Shredder and then Petty Theft at end of turn to see if it's going to go back to hand. Opponents sweating bullets. Despite the fact that the Merfolk deck has not attacked once, the game is still equal at 14-14, but they attack with the Ledger Shredder. No blocks.
None at all.
Going straight to 12. But it's not the end of the game yet. Opponent thinks something is up, so they pass. End of turn, Petty Theft. Does it resolve? 3 mana up for that Mystical Dispute. Not going to play around it. Brazen Bar enters the battlefield on the stack. It hits a counter spell.
Oh well.
But that was a big win. Interesting, they did not counter the Petty Theft, but I guess they were afraid of counter magic backup. Backup they absolutely should have been afraid of. Master of the Pearl Trident on the stack. Mutavault drawn for the turn, played. 4 mana up. Subtlety is still in the cards here. Another counterspell. They decide to keep all the counterspells in the deck versus a deck with Ether Vial and potentially Cavernous Souls. There is no Cavernous Souls this time around, so they are in luck. Ledger Shredder goes back on the stack. Cast last card, Subtlety.
And empty. Brain empty.
My hand is empty. 3 cards in hand for the Murktide player. Still waiting to see if they're going to get hit by that Chalice of the Void. Do they have any other plays this turn? Finally is a great time to play that Murktide Regent for a huge, huge, huge flyer. They play Scalding Tarn for the turn. Tapped. Are they done with their turn? They put the Ledger Shredder back on top of their library. They think there's a future there for that Ledger Shredder. They pass the turn. No Murktide in sight. 2 Mutavaults and Subtlety are now in prime to get into attack. 7 damage. Land drawn for the turn. It's just Chalice and a Subtlety and a bunch of lands versus what's likely going to be a Ledger Shredder coming next turn. Opponent takes it all. Takes it on the chin like a champ at 7 life. We've got lethal. The Ledger Shredder, though, it's there for a blocker. They didn't counter the theft because we had 3 blue up, so they might have gotten hit by a counterspell. Ledger Shredder cast back on the battlefield. What are they going to do, though? Engineered Explosives on 0. Second card played for the turn. Ledger Shredder triggers. Now I can eat Mutavaults for breakfast.
Dun dun dun.
What does this do? It just draws a card, draw a card, then discard. They dump the Consider to make the Ledger Shredder a gigantic 2/4 creature.
That bird is wearing a suit.
And now when Engineer Explosives pops, it'll pop. Potentially all 1-mana cards are now open to pop as well. Silvergill Adept drawn for the turn, but here's the problem. There are no Merfolk in hand. It has to be paid for full retail. But sometimes you have to pay full retail. 5 mana for Silvergill Adept. Minamo, Squill at Water's Edge, drawn for the turn. Cast, played, pass. Not quite lethal on the board. They do not blow the Engineered Explosives. They're waiting for more Chalice of the Voids, I guess, or waiting for the moment that they have enough 1-drops that it's going to matter. Ledger Shredder still on defense. Not a good spot. Oh, Brazen Bar off the top. This is a game changer. Because now, if they try to do anything crazy with this Ledger Shredder, like block with it, it's not going to work out. Petty Theft immediately. What are you going to do? The test has been put on the Murktide player. Thinking, could the game be over already? Murktide, the Ledger Shredder bounced straight to hand. Mutavault activated. Mutavault activated. Coming in for 9 damage. The Silvergill Adept, Subtlety, and Mutavault party. They're going to jam. What does this blue-red player have to do now? Okay, Engineer Explosives pops. No Ledger. If there's going to be any removal spent, it's not going to be to the benefit of Ledger Shredder because Ledger Shredder's in hand. Lightning Bolt played on the Subtlety. 6 damage. Cracking through. Opponent goes down to 1. It is all but over. Land played. I am empty-handed. Brazen Bar is still in the exile zone. Card advantage through the roof.
And here comes
Here's the Ledger Shredder.
the pretzel.
Now this card can still draw cards. Could get the opponent out of this game. Potentially. Unholy Heat on the Silvergill Adept. Conniving. If they can find another removal spell, Ledger Shredder can block 1 Mutavault. Potentially kill the other one. Game's not over. But they connived a land into the graveyard, so the Ledger Shredder's only a 1/3 creature. Not a 2/4. So Mutavaults easily can just attack through meaninglessly. Opponent plays Mishra's Bauble, cracks it. Cracks it, look to see what's on top of our deck. They know what's coming. We don't know what's coming, though. Can they find a removal spell? We find Ether Vial. Useless here. But this is a free attack. If they kill 1 Mutavault, no problem. The other one is only going to get blocked by a 1/3 creature. The opponent. What did they find that turn? What did they find with their Mishra's Bauble? They have to reveal it now or reveal that they've lost the game. There's only 2 options, and they have lost the match. They have conceded. They have understood that the Merfolk deck is a bit too much for them to overcome, and we have won the match. How about that, people? How you like that? Ever since I talk like an announcer, we're getting 2 zeros. This is great. Let's go!
Fully engaged. You still drinking that thing?
Well, some of it turns into ice, and I can't drink it. You know what I mean?
No. 'Cause I would have finished that off like 20 minutes. 20 minutes after I bought it.
Maybe opponent thinks what EE doesn't hit Mutavault. Oh, they might have thought that, but probably not. I would like Bauble much more if it was revealed. More fair. I think it's fair as it is. It's just 0 mana, which is BS. Like, even if it was revealed to both players, it would be still pretty nasty.
Sick nasty.
The power of Mishra's Bauble is just casting for 0. Make your cost 1 mana is useless. No one would play it. Unplayable. The difference between 1 and 0 mana. Let me know in the comments section if you like the radio talk, Nikachu.
You're the next Rush Limbaugh.
Chalice is just OP versus Murktide, in my opinion. It's generally underplayed in Modern. Best it's ever been. I wouldn't say that. I've already got crushed many times with Chalice. Like on this stream, we had Chalice on 1. It didn't matter. Opponent just killed us anyway. Because they play things like Fury. They have a lot of 2 mana cards. They've got Fury. They've got, like, they have their own subtlety sometimes. They have Ledger Shredder. The Ledger Shredder makes it a lot less weak to it. We won the die roll. The Merfolk deck wins the die roll with an amazing hand. 2 lands, Ether Vial, a good bunch of Merfolk with Silvergill Adept, Tide Shaper, and Master of the Pearl Trident. But the kicker is that Chalice on 2 is already available on turn 2. The opponent would be so far behind if they are weak to Chalice of the Void in any manner whatsoever.
Chalice on 1 on turn 2.
Chalice for 2 mana, Chalice on 1, that's right.
They mulliganed.
Opponent is mulliganed, but they're on the draw, so it's not a big disadvantage. That's what the London mulligan is for. On the draw, get those greedy mulligans in while you can. Ether Vial played for the turn, off of basic island. Opponent's going to have to wonder what is the best strategy versus a Merfolk deck, because that has to be what they're up against. Bloodstained Mire played for the turn. Cracked immediately for a Blood Crypt. Shocking. His Thoughtseize in the works here. Grief. Exiling Croxa. They're going to see our hand. It is the red-black scammy deck.
Scummy.
They're going to take tons of cards out of our hand, especially if they're going to play some sort of undying effect on the Grief, which is what this deck is known for. A lot of people are afraid of this deck because losing 3 cards out of your hand immediately with Ephemerate is bad. In this case, we're only going to lose 2. They attack the Tide Shaper. Very interesting choice. Undying Malice on the stack. It's targeting the Grief. Until end of turn, target creature gains when this creature dies, return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter it. So it becomes a 4/3, an amazing 4/3 creature, and is going to eat up our hand a second time. Go for it. What do they find more fearful? The Chalice of the Void, leaving Silvergill Adept intact in our hand. Their strategy was to strip our cards away, but they left our card advantage spell. Will that do them in the late game? We're going to have to wait and find out. The 4/3 creature is definitely nothing to sneeze at. Sveiloon off the draw of Silvergill Adept. This could be what gets the game back into the Merfolk players' favor, especially since they can take the Vial up to 2, get Master of the Pearl Trident, and Sveiloon in play for the Wombo combo.
Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize to ruin the Merfolk Master's dreams. Obviously, Sveiloon will be the pick. Easy pickings. Like picking strawberries from strawberry season.
I did that this year.
I have not.
I went to LaSalle.
I think it's an absolute scam to be picking your own fruit. That's what I go
Strawberry
to. That's what I go for the damn store for. They already did it for us.
Strawberry fields smell very sweet. That smell is just in the air.
Grief getting into the red zone. Not even deciding to be on blocking duty. 4 damage coming straight at us. No second land drop, so the Tide Shaper play was justified. Glasspool Mimic drawn for the turn. 2 options. Copy the Silvergill Adept, or copy a Master of the Pearl Trident. So this matchup is about card advantage. They cannot, however, defeat what's on top of our deck. Copied the Silvergill Adept. Attack with Silvergill Adept. Vial in the Lord. Plenty of power in play. Plenty of creatures. Waterlog Grove drawn off of the copied Silvergill Adapt, which is great. A card that cannot be hit by the Grief, cannot be hit by Thoughtseize. So if they go for that line, they will be grossly unhappy to see a card that can be converted into another card in my hand that they cannot take. They play Fury. Furious. They're ready to wipe out the entire board. 2 damage on the Master of the Pearl Trident and the 1 damage each on Silvergill Adapt. This game could be all but over. Feign Death on the Fury. It comes back. It's going to come back as a 4/4 double striker. Now the Merfolk Master completely empty boarded. Nothing there. Could have played around this by copying the Master of the Pearl Trident. Was that a mistake? The Fury says, when it enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and/or planeswalkers. Chooses to deal damage to its own creatures just to flex on the Merfolk opponent. But the game is not over. There's at least a few more turns left for the Merfolk player, because Waterlog Grove is going to convert into another creature. Subtlety drawn for the turn, completely late. Late to the party. Could have been fantastic 1 turn ago, but now, complete pipe dream. Merfolk player passes. With nothing really to do, opponent is attacking for lethal. Clicks through their attack step. Huge punt. Can it be capitalized on? Subtlety at end of turn just to get a body in play. Cannot block the Grief. Cannot really do anything about the Fury. I think the Vial should go up. Because if the Vial goes up to 3 and we draw a 3-drop, then that is room for cracking the Waterlog Grove to get that 3-drop in play. But what if we just draw a bunch of 2-drops? Alright. Let's not tick the Vial up to 3. Aether Vial drawn for the turn.
Useless.
The Magic Gods are taunting us at the moment. Absolutely taunting us. Chalice of Void drawn. Excellent card. If we could play this immediately on turn 1, which was impossible. Thinking. It's not over just yet, but it's pretty bad. There is still some hope, though. Pass. Fury can be blocked by the Subtlety. Take 4 damage, and this game goes on. Opponent cracks their Bloodstained Mire. They get a Swamp. What is in the store here? Dothy Voidwalker, another unblockable card. Opponent attacks with Grief and the Fury. Fury gets blocked, but Grief gets in for 4 damage, putting the Merfolk player down to 7 with lethal on the board between the Voidwalker and the Grief. It looks pretty bad here. Island drawn for the turn. Snap Concede. Actually, don't Snap Concede. Let the opponent know that the game was over. They didn't have anything. You have to let them think that maybe something could completely disrupt their plans. Maybe a Harbinger. Opponent asks, so not opponent. Tenacious is like, you're gonna test Hexcatcher and Explorer? Absolutely not. We're gonna leave that to Lord Magicus. Go check his channel out. Opponent attacks everything. Now it's time. The jig is up. Merfolk player resigns. The top decks were not good enough. Too many Aether Vials and maybe not enough playing around of Fury. The matchup is all going to come down to card advantage. Card advantage, card advantage, card advantage. Also, Relic of Progenitus could be very good in this matchup. Flusterstorm will be fine, but not great. Flusterstorm actually is looking pretty bad. Relic, it looks very good because you can put it onto the battlefield easily. Dismember could be useful. They might have a Fury in play, but it doesn't mean it's permanently on the battlefield. And you can always respond to any of the Undying effects with a Dismember on the creature, and then it's gone. Although it might be tough to pull off, because, of course, the opponent will see it if they ever use some sort of card discard like Grief. 3 cards have to be removed. What is it? What are they going to be? What are they going to be? Chalice of the Void. Awkward. But okay. I think I'm going to take out some Chalices and maybe 1 Dismember. Awkward cards in the matchup. Because Chalice on 1 also does away with the Relic on 1. It cannot get out early enough. Submit the deck. Relic not that good if they have fetches. We're going to crack the Relic to exile everything. Winning the die roll is going to be important. Oh my god, the hand starts off with 2 Relics and a Chalice of the Void we're going to keep. Keep that graveyard nice and empty. 2 Relics and a Chalice of the Void. Probably not going to play Chalice on 2. Got to get those Relics on the battlefield. Opponent plays with Fetch Land, turn 1, Polluted Delta. Gonna make some big plays? No, they're going to pass the turn. Passing the turn would be wise here. Second Relic enters the battlefield. Preparing Chalice of the Void on 1 next turn. Now, even if they have an Undying effect, it doesn't matter. Whatever goes to the graveyard is not coming back. That's the problem if you play with cards that are not Ephemerate. Holding up the Polluted Delta, they do not crack it to play around the Relic of Progenitus the best that they can. They're doing their best impersonation, but that impersonation might not be good enough. Svealoon, drawn for the turn. Very, very, very good card here. But Chalice on 1 goes first. And now we might see our opponent try to drastically grab for straws.
4,
so many 1-drops in the deck.
3, 2.
They very miserably let this Chalice of the Void resolve. And now we might start seeing desperation, folks. We might see the cracking of the Polluted Delta to draw more relevant cards. They do nothing. They decide, you know what? We're going to play patiently. This game has a long way to go. We need the lands now. This deck not used to top decking. Probably confused with all Furies in hand. What to do with these Furies? Impossible. There's no creatures in play. All of a sudden, it's a mono blue control artifact deck. They were not prepared. Hey Nikachu, how are the games looking? Just joined the stream. Overall they're good. I would say in the first league, I lost to being unlucky, but the deck played pretty well. In the second league, I'm playing stupid, and the deck is still playing pretty well. Although this is a clunkier deck. Opponent taps Swamp, floating black mana, pondering their options. They got to do something. They know inevitability is not on their side. Otherwise, they're going to discard for the turn. Do they want to discard for the turn? They play Engineered Explosives on 0, ready to get rid of the Chalice of the Void. Merfolk Master's not very happy about that, but they nothing can be done about it. Engineered Explosives and passes. But here's the dynamic, folks. There is an Ottawara, Soaring City in hand. And it says, discard Ottawara, Soaring City. Return target artifact, creature, enchantment, or planeswalker to its owner's hand. Its ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. No legendaries out yet, but maybe one day. EE, waiting for something to do. Can't wait forever. Ottawara. Cannot protect the Chalice of the Void right now. With Fury in mind, there has to be a Fury in hand. What is the best way to deal with this Fury, though? How many Furies do they have? Engineer Explosives clearly is going to get cracked until end of turn.
Then just hold up your mana and then pop the 2.
Land being played for the turn, Svealoon is going to enter the battlefield. If they want to use Fury, they're going to 2 for 1 themselves, no matter what. And there's no way around it. Engineer Explosives is destined to be blown up here. But they have to crack their fetch land, so no Fatal Push on the same turn to blow up the Svealoon, if that's what they had in mind. Fetching Blood Crypt, they've shocked themselves down to 17. Merfolk advantage. Engineered Explosives has been cracked in response to Relic activations to get rid of what's in that graveyard. Keep it nice and clean around here. Want to keep a clean game, clean graveyard.
Remember, pop 1 at least.
No, we don't need to do that. We got to save that for when they try to play Fury or Grief.
Oh, you're not going to lose your relics?
No, I don't have to lose my relics at all right now.
Okay.
Relics being saved for the Fury activation. Because now it can be played with Undying. Opponent, considering their options, they have to do something about the Sveloon. They just can't leave that thing on the battlefield forever. But Merfolk Master trying to bait them to play their Fury. Otherwise, nothing else can be played. It's the only thing that can absorb an entire Fury of Fury. The Fury is on the stack. Exiling Terminate. You know that really pained the opponent for doing that. Fury is going to evoke. Dealing the 4 damage to the Sveloon. Do they want to do anything on the stack? They do nothing. Evoke trigger on the stack. Opponent, again, does absolutely nothing. Lets the Fury hit the bin. Ragavan enters the battlefield with dash. Gonna come across. Deal 2 damage, get a tread. No, nothing! Opponent blunders passing through the attack step. They've done this more than once before. In fact, they're getting used to this. Ragavan goes back to hand. We draw Brazen Borrower for the turn. A very strong card. Not going to be played just yet. Silvergill Adept enters the battlefield. Drawing Mutavault, great card. Adding more bodies to the battlefield. We now have a blocker for that Ragavan. Just in case they want to reanimate that Fury, we're going to Relic, activate, get rid of that Fury in the graveyard. Just in case. Fury down. If you want to reanimate that thing, get it out of your mind. It's not going to happen. Opponent taps a land to play Fatal Push on the Silvergill Adept. Silvergill Adept is down, but that is card advantage city for the Merfolk player. We got our Mutavault out of it. We got our goods. It's time for our opponents to take a turn. Will they try to Ragavan dash that thing in again? Knowing full well Mutavault's there to block. They in fact do try to dash this one once again. And they're about to get hit by the pettiness of theft. They're trying to steal something from us? No, we're going to steal something from them. Ragavan going to go back to hand. They might have even had the plan of having a suicide plan into the Mutavault and letting their Ragavan live once more. Another island for the turn. Time for Master of the Pearl Trident to show its true colors. And it's time to pass. Bio says, can I remake my 1995-96 Merfolk deck? Maybe. Vidalian Knight, here I come. Well, you can do whatever you want. Just good luck finding somewhere where it's going to be good. Blackleaf Cliffs played for the turn. Opponent thinking. Passing the turn? With Ragavan in hand. It could mean only one thing. Disaster. Are they baiting a Brazen Borrower? They might. They might be readying. Very quickly, very soon. A Fury. And it would destroy the Master of the Pearl Trident and the Brazen Borrower at once. Attack for 5. Sveloon. Sea and Sky drawn for the turn. Insane card drawn for the turn, but it's going to be weaker because the Terminate has just destroyed the Master of the Pearl Trident. So Sveloon will not be indestructible. Not happening today. But the Brazen Borrower still comes across for 3 damage. Sveloon of Sea and Sky getting cast. Vulnerable to the Terminates. Vulnerable to anything. Relic activation keeps the opponent's graveyard clean. And the Merfolk player passes the turn. Mutavault up, just in case. You need something. Need anything to block extra creatures. Gustav was like, I keep thinking Unsettled Mariner can be a good card for Merfolk at the current meta. Absolutely not. It's garbage. Seasoned Pyramid entering the battlefield. Opponent's going to discard 2 cards to draw 2 more. How many tokens will they make? But those tokens, they're on the ground. They can do nothing to touch the Brazen Borrower. Ragavan and Grief hit the graveyard. Completely useless they are. And they're going to be exiled. Opponent plays Bloodstained Mire for the turn, and they are ready to pass. And they do have enough enough on the battlefield to take down an entire Svelune of Sea and Sky, but it would cost them their entire board. Are they willing to do that? Only time will tell. Master of the Pearl Trident drawn for the turn, which means this Svelune is going to be indestructible. Relic activated, get rid of that last Ragavan in the graveyard. Master of the Pearl Trident on the stack. What is the opponent going to do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They decided they can't do anything about this. Mutavault getting activated. Svelune is indestructible. Terminates don't even work on the following Merfolk because they don't have enough to pay the tax. On the other hand, what if they have Fatal Push? What if they have Lightning Bolt? See you later, Gustavo. With the activation and going to the attack step, the opponent is thinking really hard about their options. They let the attack go through. Svelune attacks to draw a card. That card...
There's a
opponent
fly.
waiting with the trigger on the stack.
There's a fly on your cup.
Opponent cracks fetch land. Deciding now's the time to do something. Lightning Bolt. Spike Field Hazard to shoot down the Brazen Borrower in the air. Incredible play. The land that killed a creature that was flying. But now we know the Merfolk are completely in the red zone and ready to really deal some damage to the opponent. Svelune's draw step finds a Glasspool Mimic. That's going to be a fantastic card to copy either Mutavault or Master of the Pearl Trident on the following turn. Opponent chump blocks Mutavault with one of the elementals. Along with Seasoned Pyromancer, they're all going to go to the bin though. This trade will not be favorable. The Seasoned Pyromancer will get exiled by one of these relics. Certainly. Mutavault down. Undying Evil. Target creature gains Undying until end of turn. The Seasoned Pyromancer is going to go to the graveyard, going to force the cracking of one of the relics.
Ho 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 ho.
But here's the deal. The Svelune of Sea and Sky is now vulnerable to removal. It's only a 4/5 creature on the battlefield. What if a Fury enters the battle? Oh no, Fury can't hit it because the Fury does not deal enough damage. The 5 toughness is a big butt on that Svelune. Gods have big butts. The big butt is an advantage of the gods. Knight's Whisper on the stack. You draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life. The opponent playing with their life total at 7 life. Did they draw what they need? For single red, the Lightning Bolt goes after the Master of the Pearl Trident. Trigger ward on the stack. Opponent pays the price. Master of the Pearl Trident down. With 1 Blood Crypt left. Is there any way they can deal with the Svelune? Because the Svelune will completely take over the board. They do nothing. End of turn, relic activation targeting the opponent. We keep a clean graveyard here. Svelune off the top. The hand actually sucks. There's a Svelune on the battlefield. Svelune in hand in a Glasspool Mimic. Nothing to copy, but we do have the Brazen Borrower. It's time to attack with the Svelune. Fearless Attacker. We're going to draw a card. Drawing Videlian Hexmage. So if the opponent blocks with their elemental and have Fatal Push, it would not be good enough because the Hexmage will do them in. With nothing really to do, it's time to pass the turn. But before that, activate Relic. End of turn, Hexmage can be played, Brazen Borrower can be played. This is complete domination. Because of course, it's not what's in hand that matters, it's what's in play. But with 5 mana, anything is possible. Ragavan Nimble Perilfur, cast with dash, enters the battlefield for the billionth time.
But will it stick?
Will it stick is the real question. It attacks for 2, but is once again going to get hit by the Petty Theft from the Merfolk player. Again, these things can't die. See, the opponent wants the things to die. That's the whole point of the deck, but nothing keeps dying. It keeps going back to hand. But if they died, they'd still get hit by the relic. The opponent's just completely bamboozled. And they
Yeah.
concede in the bamboozlement. But the game's not over. This match has just begun because there's a game 3. And that everything went exactly as planned.
I don't know about that.
Now, with Ragavan in the deck, is there a chance to bring Chalice? Chalice actually got worse on the draw. So Chalice, we're going to side out one of them. Maybe side out 2 to put the Dismember and Spreading Seas into the deck and submit. Chat recognizes there was a Minamo on the battlefield. That could have untapped Sveilun to block the Ragavan. That is completely true. Hand has Ether Vial and a bunch of creatures that may not last even one turn. We're going to keep it. The opponent, however, keeps a 7-card hand. They're in prime position to completely destroy the Merfolk player. What are they going to do? Last game, they did nothing for 4 or 5 turns because they were trying to utilize a Fury that never had any chance of being utilized. Grief on the stack, exiling the Dothy Voidwalker. Is this going to be a 3 for 2? Possibly. It could happen. Which card do they want to play to bring their grief back from the graveyard? Is it going to be Undying? Opponent is considering their options. Maybe they're going to do nothing. Maybe they don't have anything. But they wouldn't think so long if they could do nothing. So it must be something. But what do they want to take? The hand of the Merfolk player. 3 islands, 1 Ether Vial. Oh, it was already there, and they wanted to decide, based on after seeing the hand, what they were going to do. Undying Malice on the stack. The Grief is going to come back. Eat up another card. So they have spent 3 cards to get 2. But they do have a 4/3 Grief on the battlefield. And they take the Vidalian Hexcatcher. Merfolk player left with a Tide Shaper and a Silver Gill-Adept. Not bad cards, but also not great. Land drawn for the turn. Terrible card. Merfolk player plays Island Pass with the preparation to play Tide Shaper on the mana base. The sensitive mana base. Agadim's Awakening enters the battlefield tapped. Opponent has nothing else to do. With no red mana in sight, it looks like it's clear sailing for Silver Gill-Adept on turn 2. But on the draw, this Grief is dealing a lot of damage. It's a 5-turn clock. Merfolk player goes down to 16. Silver Gill-Adept gets cast, revealing the Tide Shaper the opponent already knows. Subtlety drawn for the turn. Incredible card that could be amazing versus a potential next Grief or Fury. That's the card the Merfolk player needed the entire time versus this matchup. It's a complete blowout. Opponent plays Blood Crypt for the turn. Tapped. Gets in with the Grief. That Blood Crypt has a target on its head through the Tide Shaper. Mutavault drawn off the top of the deck. It's starting to get more threat dense for the Merfolk player. Merfolk player cannot be unhappy about these. What is going on here? Silver Gill-Adept attacks, not planning on blocking the Grief anytime soon. Tide Shaper enters the battlefield with that Blood Crypt in sight. Not letting those Seasoned Pyromancers, those Ragavans, those Lightning Bolts, those Terminates ever get a shred of anything. But the opponent has a black mana on the stack. The Fatal Push the Tide Shaper. It does nothing for the turn. And now must be passed. The opponent still has this Grief in play, putting pressure on the Merfolk player. Is the time running out for the Merfolk player? 3 turns left. But the opponent still hasn't put anything in play. The attack for 4, putting the Merfolk player down to 8 and passing the turn. Ether Vial drawn for the turn.
Completely useless.
What to do? Subtlety in hand. Not a bad card. Menace. You must block this creature with 2 or more. Any 2 creatures will block a Grief. It can be anything. Merfolk player attacks for 2. Deciding to live dangerously for a few more turns. It's time to play an island and pass with subtlety up. They don't know about the subtlety. They never saw it. It never happened. It was never a card. Grief. On its way to deal 4 damage. And it does. Nikachu down to 4. But now what to do with the subtlety? Just in case there's a lot of options here. There's a land in hand. Can wait next turn. Play land. Activate Mutavault. Try to double block the grief. If something happens. There's subtlety on the way as well. Can triple block the grief. If there's a lot of removal in hand, the Merfolk player is screwed no matter what. Thinking, pondering the options. Pondering the options. Pondering the options. If they ever have Fury, the game is over no matter what. So we must apply pressure to the battlefield. There's no other way. Subtlety hits the battlefield. With no targets, it's just a lonely 3/3 flash creature. But it's better than nothing. Drawing more lands off the top. Ether Vial into land was not what the Merfolk player wanted. It's looking dire. More dire and dire every turn. To guarantee that there are 2 blockers for the grief, the Merfolk player plays Master of the Pearl Trident and passes the turn. If there is tomb removal spells, there is enough blockers to block the grief. But even then, the grief will still come back if there is an Undying card. What does the grief player do? Are they a red mana short from doing what they really want to do? Fury has been cast, exiling the Ragavan. The card that was supposed to meet Destiny with subtlety doesn't in this case. Subtlety, not enough here. Evoke trigger on the stack. Dealing tons of damage to everything. 1 damage to the subtlety. The Fury will come back to blow up the subtlety big time. Nope, but this Fury actually just gets dumpstered into the graveyard. The second Fury has the game over. The Merfolk player has nothing. They drew too many lands in an Ether Vial, and the red-black deck wins it. If it wasn't one Fury, it would be another one. It would be interesting, actually, if I took the flash line, then they couldn't do anything. Because I did have the option, play land, have 5 mana up, and then if they attack with their grief, I could activate Mutavault, and block with subtlety as well. Or could I? No, maybe I couldn't. No, that doesn't. That line doesn't work at all. I could try to attack. No, I guess that line doesn't work. Fury should be banned. That's okay. There was much of a game. There was a game there. I mean, there's a lot of ways I could have dealt with that, but I just didn't have any answer to that stupid Fury. Oh, sorry, I didn't have any answer to the grief. So what, we went 2-3 with this list? I think the third match was tough. We were not winning that match. Yeah, we went 2-3, and I think I punted in one of these matches. But this one's a lot. Whoops, this is not the list. This is the list. This list is really close. Whether this is good or not, I don't know. Maybe Chalice could be in the. But Chalice actually was pretty well positioned given all the matchups that we had. You needed to draw sub early. It's just bad beats. Oh yeah, subtlety. If you have subtlety at the beginning, it would have been great. Ban power creep. No, well, power creep is just. I think modern's fine. I don't think modern's turned into Yu-Gi-Oh or anything. I mean, look at that game. That went to turn 5 at least, right? It was a 5-turn clock, so we went to at least turn 6. I think that's fine. I'm not complaining about modern. What to say about this? Yeah, we almost. Oh, whatever. I wouldn't say it was close, but we were on the back end and we just couldn't catch up in that last one. Deck is like okay-ish. Okay-ish. You see, even with Mutavault, Svelune still dies. I'm not saying Svelune is bad. Svelune is good in this type of deck, because this is supposed to be a slower deck where you stabilize and then go in for the counterattack. So I hope everyone on the radio enjoyed that play-by-play. Now that I think of it, like, Saffron Olive often, like, talks about that, what the opponent does. Opponent plays land. Modern is still fun, but Pioneer feels more like the Modern I'd like to play. I think Pioneer feels like standard to me. I think Trickster is one of the best cards. Feels weird cutting it. I'm just gonna be straight up with you guys. Trickster is useless. Trickster is a very, very bad card right now. Because it's sort of in line with the 2-drops. It's not impactful enough. Tapping something down, like the best thing it does is hit a construct token out of like Urza Saga, but like they get another construct token. I honestly think that Trickster is just a bad card now. It's just not playable. Flash 2/2 creature doesn't cut it right now. I think Brazen Bar is above and beyond superior. Above and beyond superior. Hold on, where is it? So this is just a way better card. It's way better versus Murktide. It's just way better versus everything. And the fact that it's not it deals more damage. It's not a Merfolk, so it doesn't get hit by like Merfolk hate. Do we revisit Brineborn Cutthroat? Well, I sort of did here, and it was like fine, but well, anyway, just let me finish this video off. Not sure if I'll post this, but probably I will. The deck was okay, but obviously when we see Vidalian Hexcatcher, it had, well, it might have helped me versus that, what's it called, Dwarf deck. I wish I didn't lose to that deck. That's a bit embarrassing. I think that's a good matchup. It might not, because I don't have very good interaction for Magda, and I don't have very good interaction for that stupid that birthing pod artifact. But as you see, like Vidalian Hexcatcher not attacking on any angle that Merfolk already attacks on, but it is convenient, slightly convenient to have like a Flash Lord. I think it's going to be pretty stock to the Merfolk decks from now on, but it's not like a bomb because it doesn't hit any angle that we are struggling with, and it doesn't help us in any matchups that we really need a lot of help with. So like, oh, the burn like we can beat the burn matchup, we can beat Living End, we can beat, well, actually, to be honest, Living End and the Crashing Footfall matchups are pretty tough these days because they have a lot of interaction for our interaction. Cannot agree with that, but fair enough. Oh no, you pay attention. Just like I told the Merfolk community about Svelune. Modern is more about tempo than card advantage right now. We lose very often, and I think I demonstrated with the 2 leagues today, we lose with cards in our hand tons of times, very, very often. And a card advantage just does not matter. And Svelune is not a clock. It's a very, very slow clock. It is card advantage, and in the right deck. And I think decks like this that slow the game down with Brazen Bar and Dismember, and you can protect the Svelune a little bit with Chalice of the Void. I think Svelune is in a good shape in this type of deck. But Modern is more about tempo than card advantage. Mark my words. If Modern's about tempo, then it makes 0 sense to cut Trickster. In this build, like, look, okay, instead of Trickster, I have Brazen Bar, which is better, because I bounce the creature back to their hand. I can bounce Murktide back to their hand. It's a way stronger tempo card than Trickster. Let's just say Trickster is a worse card than Brazen Bar were. So I still have the same tempo for the same amount of mana, which is actually better. It's easier to cast Brazen Bar in a deck with Mutavault. But I think Brazen Bar is just better than Trickster. This is what I'm just saying. And I don't have room for Trickster beyond that. Also, I think Dismember to some degree is just better than Trickster. For 1 mana, just permanently deal with the creature. Like, I don't want to Trickster a Ragavan. That's bad value. That's bad tempo. I feel like in today's Modern, Sweltering Suns is a good card. It's okay. Actually, I don't know if it's good. Hexcatcher is a nice trick against Fury, come to think of it. Sort of. Like, if you can flash it in, sure. Would a Harbinger with the cost of Trickster be better? Oh, you mean like Harbinger? I would prefer there's a blue creature that just bounce the creature. No condition. Like, don't make it conditional. Just blue. It doesn't even have to have flash, to be honest. Just bounce a creature. That would be great. I'd be in for that. That would be great. So if anyone wants to know my take on Vidalian Hexcatcher, playable card. It's probably going to be stock to the Merfolk deck from now on. I do think it's better than... I think it's good. I think it's good. I prefer to have it than not. What's the best shell for it? Who knows? Nobody knows. The Merfolk community at the moment right now is not 5-0ing like crazy, so obviously Merfolk is not over the top because, like I've said, it doesn't hit on any new angle that we don't already hit on, and we do need help in our bad matchups. I think it does help, though, in the Living End and Crushing Footfalls. I don't mind that. All right, with that, I can keep talking a little bit after the stream, but for that, that's going to be our stream today. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.